So it looks like it's time for us to answer a few more of your questions. We have, of course, the British Fist.
Coaching.
Mr. Parkin here. NJ here.
What's up?
Trademark NJ. If you have any questions you want to ask us, please do so by putting them in the comment section below. Facebook, Twitter, or inboxing us if you can. I don't think you can do that anymore, though, can you?
YouTube, you suck. But please continue sending as many questions as you can to keep us going, to keep us kicking, to keep us live and kicking.
It reminds me of a song by Emma Blackery. Fuck you, Google Plus. We don't want your fucking fuck. I'm not as good a singer as her, but that was still a damn good song. Let's get straight on to these questions. Playlist Maker SG asked us 3 questions. Do you think some wrestling fans are spoiled by the old ECW and the hardcore aspects of the Monday Night Wars and focus too much on weapons, high spots, and blood? To a degree, I guess it depends when you grew up. If you grew up in the Hogan era, you'd be more for storytelling and psychology. If you grew up in the Attitude Era, you'll probably be more about that kind of stuff because that's just what you grew up with and what you became very familiar with. But I believe fans are kind of spoiled by it because that was a time when, you know, anything pretty much went in the business, and now they're presented with something that is never ever going to be able to top it. And, you know, they're just not used to it.
As much as time in the wrestling company has grown from hardcore action to PG, I do get behind the fans who want to see the blood, because in wrestling, wrestlers are battering each other to pieces. Like Hell in a Cell's still around, Elimination Chamber's still around. You expect there to be blood and carnage. So when the WWE or wrestling companies don't provide the full-on violence, full-on blood, it can be disappointing.
There are times when weapons, high spots, and blood are required from a storytelling aspect. I agree, but I do think, you know, on Monday Night Raw and things like that, you should really focus more on storytelling and, you know, psychology and less on that kind of stuff, and save that for the big matches and the payoffs, etc. Which of these guys do you think could be inducted into the Hall of Fame, if any? Bam Bam Bigelow, yes. Big Boss Man, yes. I say Big Boss Man. Bryan Adams, is he some sort of Canadian singer? No. John Laurinaitis, the guy who signed the guy with one leg and didn't know, probably not. Michelle McCool,
the top diva. She was one of the top ones to watch out for. She's not as big as Lita or Trish, but she did have a big part when she was around.
She has a very influential husband, so we could actually put her in the Hall of Fame. Godfather, he could definitely go in the Hall of Fame. What a character he was. Do you think anyone will ever beat Santino Marella's shortest Royal Rumble time, or is it physically impossible for anyone to get less? It probably is physically impossible for anyone to get less, but they probably thought that about the one previously, which was Warlord, I believe.
It was fun that Santino's got something special for the Royal Rumble, but yes, it's going to be hard to beat that now.
Yeah, at least Santino has some kind of record, which is kind of funny. Will Jeff Hardy and Kurt Angle ever return to the WWE?
Well,
my guess is that at some point down the line, if they are just tired with TNA, I reckon WWE would bring both of them back for a short-term run, or like a Batista-like run, or you know, just an old-timer kind of run.
Kurt Angle is coming to a point where he could be happily finishing wrestling at any point. So for him to come back to the WWE and provide us with the Kurt Angle we used to love in the WWE, great. Jeff Hardy, I still think he's got the ability to keep going on. So when TNA don't give Jeff Hardy what he needs or what he wants, come back to the WWE.
I think Kurt Angle, now approaching the end of his career, I think he would want some kind of last run. Maybe get inducted into the Hall of Fame as well, even though he's been inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame next week. As for Jeff Hardy, I can see it happening. You know, I think a lot of the WWE fans will probably remember his face and name, so they could bring him in as some kind of special attraction. You know, it didn't work for TNA, but it could still work for WWE. They have the marketing power. The $2.99. Do you think Vince split the primetime players because he doesn't want to push someone who's gay but is behind Titus? I think he probably split the primetime players. I think, according to news sources, I think Titus O'Neil asked to go as a singles guy. And to be honest with you, I think Titus O'Neil was going to always be the guy out of the primetime players that got the bigger push, so I don't really blame them for actually splitting the primetime players, even though it did kind of come out of nowhere.
Even though WWE could have done better with the primetime players instead of tease them, getting a push, then fail them, I feel at a point the fact that their push as a tag team was failing thanks to WWE, I feel that splitting them up was pretty much the only thing that's going to keep at least one of them doing something.
I don't think it's because Darren Young is gay, because I think they could get some good PR out of that if they pushed a guy like that. I think Titus O'Neil just has more of an overall package compared to Darren Young. That's why I think he's being pushed. How would you build heel Undertaker versus Bryan at WrestleMania? You could have probably Undertaker be jealous of Daniel Bryan's popularity. Maybe the crowd would boo Undertaker. I don't know. I'm just, you'd have to very much rely on the crowd. But I'm just, just putting it out there.
Daniel Bryan WrestleMania. Here we go. Next year's WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble. Undertaker's the, I would say champion, but then then Undertaker would win. So yeah, Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble, takes the champ, set up the match, and go.
Thunder Night 19. Even though WWE caters to the more casual fan, are there any particular booking decisions WWE made you feel upset both IWC fans and casual fans?
Here we go.
I don't know. I think the whole CM Punk thing would have disgusted both, because the IWC fans wanted to see CM Punk, and the casual fans, I think, got sick of it after CM Punk kept fucking losing.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime, maybe from an advertising standpoint, I can understand that. But then again, WrestleMania 29 still did pretty damn good buy rate, so I don't think you could put that towards that. Maybe Austin turning heel. I don't think the casual fans wanted Austin to turn heel. I don't think the IWC fans wanted Austin to turn heel back in 2001. What about the invasion angle? I imagine the IWC fans and the casual fans would really have been quite jizzing at this thing, and then they kind of ruined it, and the booking decisions in there would have just upset both the IWC and the casual fans.
The invasion thing, we spoke about this many times, because the idea was great. It gave the WWE the overall power, but the storyline aspect, building it up, could have been better if the challengers or the opponents were better.
Indeed. But I must admit, though, even though looking back at it now, it is crappy, I do remember as a kid kind of being really excited for this storyline, and I was kind of like a bit of a sheep back then because I was so young. But so, I don't know, I was a kid, so that's that. Bo the Xbox Pro. Do you agree that someone else should be added to the Authority?
No.
Make it feel like they were actually gathering locker room support. You could argue Shield, but no, not really anymore. I like the idea of Kane the Wyatts or being with Authority, although it may come off to be a corporate ministry rehash. I don't really think there's much more needed for the Authority. I mean, you got Triple H, you got Orton. You could even bring back Vince and Stephanie McMahon on a part-time basis. Even though Steph is there most of the time anyway. You've also got Kane, and there's not really much need for anyone else unless you bring Johnny Ace back. Now he would be the perfect fit for this faction. He would.
To be honest, I look at the Authority, and the way I was hoping it was going to go down was the teasing of Triple H taking over, giving him the Authority name, building up over month after month after months, teasing what it's going to be like when he takes over, instead of adding unnecessary people to this. I didn't think it was needed.
No, I don't think it's not any more are needed, in my opinion. Let's just put it that way. We don't want the Authority overbearing the show like they did before, and then the pay-per-views were just shocking. Are people getting tired of the "we can't make up our minds on what to do with Daniel Bryan" act? The only way we'll find out about this is if they finally pay it off at a big pay-per-view and it does good numbers. And that will show us how much people really actually cared.
Thing is, I look at Daniel Bryan, and yes, he keeps floating from the championship down, back to the championship. I guess the reason he keeps going back up to the championship is because that's what the fans want. So for him to go down a peg for a little while before going back up, yeah, it can become annoying. So I'd say keep him in one place once you make the decision of where he should be for some time.
I mean, what other babyfaces on the roster are A, as over as him, and B, could be slotted into that main event scene? So, but I mean, eventually they will have to pay off. I mean, he is getting a match of probably Triple H or Kane at WrestleMania, which is a big match for Daniel Bryan. So, or more, hopefully Triple H. So that should be part of the storyline, and then maybe you can have afterwards, maybe at SummerSlam or something. I don't know. I think that it should get paid off. It has to be paid off at some point. It just has to. Yes. Johnny Castaway. Who do you see Roman Reigns feuding with after Mania when the triple threat match with the Shield for the US title that is likely going to happens? I just think he will. That's an interesting one, because I think he will feud with the Shield and then probably have a rematch with them at Extreme Rules, maybe Dean Ambrose. I'm not really sure what they would do with Roman Reigns.
Let's say he's gone straight through the Shield. The Shields came to a finish. I think when it comes to a guy like Roman Reigns, he should be taking advantage of the power and the size factor. So that's like Big Show,
Oh yes,
Mark Henry, possibly while he's around, if they could build him up in time, Brock Lesnar. That'd be a big standpoint. But I think the size and size, that's what you want to see. Like Batista Lesnar, we're pumped up about hopefully seeing that. So I think after the Shield, it should be the bigger guys.
I think it's essential how WWE book and write for Roman Reigns, especially if they do turn in babyface at WrestleMania. They obviously do see some big potential in this guy. So they need to do best for what's Roman Reigns and put him in programs with, big players and stuff like that. As my phone goes off, it's Facebook, don't worry. It's actually Regina, Nature Girl 30, messaging me on Facebook. Yeah, stop interrupting our Q&As, Regina. The Neon Brick. It'd be so funny if she had a question in this Q&A as well. The Neon Brick. How would you make Roman Reigns a world champion? Make him win the Royal Rumble 2015, main event WrestleMania 31, and beat John Cena. Easy.
If wishes were fishes, I think we've gone past what we do to put Roman Reigns over, but the championship scene, yes, the fact he's looked so good in the last Royal Rumble, I think continuing that Rumble after Rumble until you're ready to put him into the World Championship scene, I think the Rumble is the best aspect.
I mean, the thing is, though, you've already kind of laid the groundwork for fans to get behind Roman Reigns because he eliminated 12 people, which was a record, and came second in the Royal Rumble to Batista, who people kind of hated at the time. So next year's Royal Rumble, you say he didn't quite do it that year, but this year he is going to go that extra step and win the Royal Rumble. Pretty much made it there, even though probably WWE didn't mean it that way.
Even though coming next year you could have another fan favourite to be up there, like if you had like Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, but this year it clearly points out that when it comes to a guy who's just returned being Batista and Roman Reigns, the fans wanted Roman Reigns, so if they can continue fans behind Roman Reigns, I think he has a big possibility of getting the same reaction next year.
And if IC and US belts get unified, who would you make the champion? What would you call the belt?
Intercontinental.
Just stick with the Intercontinental belt. And who would I give it to? Do you know what? At this point in time, I'd give it to Cesaro. I would.
I'm looking at that championship, and I think it could be brilliant to give it to someone who is there, ready for the next step up.
Roman Reigns.
So I'd say maybe Roman Reigns, even though we push him to the World Championship.
Yeah.
So maybe a Seth Rollins, just to give him something in his career.
Or maybe even a Dean Ambrose. Just saying. Jon Snow. Do you feel with the Warrior joining the WWE Hall of Fame, you believe that they will or should release a new Ultimate Warrior DVD package? You'd imagine they would do. They with him just coming back and everything, they will definitely release some kind of video package of him or DVD package of him. It would make sense from a business standpoint.
I think, obviously, with all these names that's going to the Hall of Fame or with the involvement in the WWE as of recently, there should be something in their contract to be involved. And if there is a Ultimate Warrior DVD, then go with that. Yeah, I like it.
Yep, definitely should happen. And also, they probably should do a sort of like revamp on the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior or something, and just like do an opposite to that as well. Bo the Xbox Pro, second set of questions that we've been asked by this person. At this moment, I can't remember the last time the US title was so useless. Do you think just dropping that belt would altogether work? Having a unified champion, IC being your mid-card title, so to speak, tag team and Divas title. I think, do you know what? Like I said, the idea of combining both the belts would appeal to me right now because although the US title is technically being shown on TV, when was the last time we had a real proper US title feud which involved Dean Ambrose? Problem is he's involved in all the Shield business now.
I think when it comes to the US, they should either if they don't want to unify, they should quickly take it off him for whatever reason, and then continue the Shield storyline. Or the fact is, you don't want to get rid of the United States Championship altogether because of the history behind it. So unifying it in a big important match, if they can book it somehow, would be the best route to go down.
Is it just me, or is having in-ring skill and good wrestling psychology useless in today's product? No. I get where you're coming from here. You're saying that these people that are really good in the ring don't make it to the top, but it is useful in the product because they can be used very well in the mid card and they can be used very well to put people over that you want to put maybe in the main event scene down the line. So I don't think it's useless in today's product. I just think today's product is more focused on what draws more, which is essentially what any businessman would want to do.
It's a shame because when you look back at the old storylines of wrestlers we used to have, having good good in ring skills and stuff like that was a concentration on thinking, okay, this guy's building up a package. We can then use that package to push him higher. So I think it used to play an important aspect. Now you don't feel it as much.
No, I think it's more of a use in the mid card, in my opinion, than it is in the main event scene. As the main event scenes were generally when you see the jack top guys and the that kind of stuff. When will the Fandango character die? When someone probably shoots him.
But as much as that is true, someone's got to shoot him to kill him. I think, to be honest, it's already dying because he's at the moment from this video having week after week matches with Santino. Yes, he's beating Santino, but it's not actually giving Fandango a future just because he's beating Santino. And I'm not sure what's actually going to make him seem worthy of being anywhere higher than just these odd matches.
Yeah, it's just, you just look at last year at WrestleMania when he beat Chris Jericho in WrestleMania, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing at the time. I was behind this guy getting a win over Chris Jericho, but you just look what WWE done with him since, and it's kind of just very typical of WWE in the way they don't build new stars. What the hell happened to RVD? Lol. He's on a short-term deal with the WWE, and he does a couple of months here and a couple of months there, which is why we haven't seen him in a long time. And whether or not he'll be involved during WrestleMania season, who knows?
When I look at Rob Van Dam, I think the fact you brought him back, he should either be back. 'Cause he's not like a Brock Lesnar who's scared of travel, doesn't like traveling. He's a guy who I felt wanted to be the performer, the one to be in good spots in wrestling companies. So short-term contract hasn't really benefited the WWE. So for his contract to run out until he comes back at a later point, I don't think it's benefiting RVD's return.
Deco5757, do you think TNA should have all their shows in the UK, or do you think if that were the case, they wouldn't pull as big a crowds each week? Yeah, that's true. I mean, the reason why they pull such big crowds is because they go there once a year. Really, I mean, if they went there every week, then they wouldn't be pulling as big a crowds because then it wouldn't be such a special attraction.
I think there's the debate in any wrestling company that it feels better in the United Kingdom. So if they did come here long term, again we can take guesses. Yes, it doesn't come here that often, so fans are appreciating it more, but we don't know if it's going to benefit more by coming here. But it seems to be bigger here.
It seems to be bigger here, but it's because it's only here for a week or two a year. So it's more, like I said, it's more of a special attraction. Whereas in America, it's just kind of a meh thing. But they can't really move away from America because that is essentially where their operations are being held. So you just can't do that. John Harris, what do you think of MVP as a TNA investor? Oh boy, do you want the fan answer or do you want the business-minded answer? For the fan answer, I'm gonna have to ask this guy.
Before MVP came in, I was getting sick and tired of Dixie Carter being in numerous segments, whining, complaining, make it look like it's her company, like yada yada yada. But it got annoying. When MVP came in, the crowd liked it. He was interacting with the crowd. He got positive cheers. It felt more alive because MVP was a okay spoken wrestler. So since he's been in, I've looked forward to him coming out and talking directly to Dixie Carter. So in my opinion, I'm loving it. I'm liking it. I think MVP's in a place where I'm hoping it goes long term.
Yeah, I still think it's kind of stupid that a guy that was in the WWE mid-card for many years can actually manage to get a 50% stake in a privately owned company. I think that makes your company look very, very Bush League, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. But to be honest, ever since MVP has come in, there has been a different feel about the product. It does kind of feel like MVP is the face of this new change that's going on in TNA right now. No, that doesn't involve shooting three-pointers, NJ. So I guess part of me thinks that You know, part of me thinks it's kind of stupid that MVP could get a major stake in TNA and make it look very Bush League, but the other part of me is kind of enjoying him being there and seeing where this change is going to go. And that is it for this Q&A number 142, I believe. 140 fucking 2 times we've sat in front of this camera and answered people's questions. And you know what we've done? I think you guys out there have done very well with keeping us, you know, going with all the questions that you've given us. But please, we would love to have more so we can continue this series on as long as we possibly can.
And people, thank you very much, because these Q&As are the highlight of the week, because as you can see, the British Fist are reunited, and to be honest, this is the way that first got you interested in us. So for you to keep us coming like this together, we appreciate it. We want you to keep the questions coming, and all I can say is balling. Thank you very much, and for Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, please keep smiling, please keep supporting the British Fist, and goodbye.